Hello and welcome to today's video. I have escaped once more into the outside. I'm here in Willimantic or Colombia or somewhere. Who cares? Because let's talk about rational choice theory. Okay, so it turns out this place is called the Airline Trail, and so let's fly into today's topic. So in the last video we talked about the prisoner's dilemma, the terrible decisions that had to be made by Mr. A and Mr. B when they were interrogated, and they were being induced or coerced, or you might say tricked, into confessing. And I said at the time that Mr. A and Mr. B could not really be judged as good or bad people. The situation they were being put in made them behave in a specific way. And it made them behave in a specific way, in the case of Mr. A and Mr. B, a conflictual way, because the situation made that behaviour rational. So we need to talk a little bit about what we mean by rationality. The origin of rational choice theory as it applies to international politics comes from a desire to be more scientific, to put these theories on what was considered at the time a stronger and more stable basis than the essentially philosophical, you could say even quasi-religious theories of idealism and realism that had strong overtones of sinfulness and inherent virtue. And so the idea of rationality as a way to understand human behaviour becomes very popular in political science and in international relations from really the 1950s onwards, and is still very popular today. It's an idea that is imported essentially from economics. So the idea of rationality is to conceptualize people as essentially human calculators. What are they calculating? Humans are posited in rational act theory to be calculating so as to maximize their gains and minimize their losses with every single decision that they make. We need to be a little more specific than that though, and we need to talk about the notion of utility. Utility is the thing that people are posited to be maximizing their gains of and minimizing their losses of. Utility basically means anything that people value. And so what it's going to mean specifically is going to depend upon the circumstances we're talking about. In international politics, states are commonly conceived as seeing their utility as tied up with notions of power. They're going to maximize those policies that make them more powerful, that maximize their security and minimize their insecurity. So if I want to maximize my utility, how do I make decisions in order to ensure that I'm doing that? Basically, rational choice theory posits that people always make the right decisions. That means the decision that maximizes their utility. Crucially, they never make mistakes. They never accidentally pick a policy or a choice or an action that doesn't maximize their utility. Just as crucially, they never make decisions on any other criteria other than utility maximization. According to this theory, people are able to survey all of the options in front of them and rank them according to how they impact their utility. So crucially, people are assumed to have knowledge of the end states that their policies are going to produce. They're not guessing about whether one action or another action is going to maximize their utility. So, people, or in international politics, states, always maximize their utility. They commonly think of their utility in terms of power or security. They know what policies are going to produce what utility payoff. And they never make decisions based on any other criteria than utility maximization. In this way, people are essentially human calculators. So the reason this is important in scientific terms is that this assumption that people are rational renders the people themselves, whatever discipline we're in, whether it's consumers or business people in economics, or whether it's voters or politicians in political science, or whether it's statespeople in international relations, it renders those people actually very predictable and in some senses quite boring. This is because in order to understand how rational people are going to behave, we don't need to know very much about those people. We really need to know what the circumstances are that they're in, what the environment is that they're placed in. Because once we understand the environment, we can understand what rational behaviour would be. And once we understand what rational behaviour would be for anyone, we can predict how any particular person will behave in that situation. And this is why the theories that use rational choice theory that we're going to look at in the coming weeks are classified as environment level theories, environment level explanations of international politics. And so this core understanding of people as essentially being like human calculators is going to be the basis for looking at the two theories of neorealism and neoliberalism in the coming weeks. But before we get there, I want us to spend some time with an icon of rationality, maybe the original icon of rationality in popular culture. That's Star Trek's Mr. Spock.